So jumping all the way ahead, here is the finished product. These are all the cutting boards that I made in this production test run. And so now everything is ready for store display or storage. I have everything wrapped in plastic, not because I like the way that looks, but it's a necessary solution to protect the board and prevent it from getting dirty. Cutting boards tend to get dirty on display. People touch them with their dirty hands and it gets dusty. So the plastic protects that and prevents the mineral oil from leaching out. And so I can put these right in a cardboard box and I don't have to worry about the mineral oil getting into everything. In this video, I'm going to do a time and cost analysis where I add up the time for each step in the process. And this helps a great deal making business decisions regarding pricing the work and determining if it's a good product that the woodshop can make for a profit, or is it something I should not make and should be making something else instead. My approach to making cutting boards is fairly simplistic. I try to make the cheapest board possible in the most efficient manner possible, but still retain some design appeal with the use of the contrasting woods and the functionality that the silicone bumpers provide. So each of these cutting boards has the silicone bumpers, various colors, but I definitely don't make it overly complicated. I don't do end grain or anything more complicated than this pattern because that would increase the cost, and I'm trying to determine what the wholesale price would have to be for these small boards so that a retail store would be able to sell these and make a profit and still be profitable for my business. So that's has to be an accurate calculation. So this video, we will determine what the real cost of producing a bunch of small boards like this in a production setting will be, so I can determine an accurate selling price. So there's still much work to be done to get these to a finished product, and most of these blanks are over 10 inches wide, 10 3/4, and so my joiner is 10 inches wide maximum, so I'll have to take the blade guard off and then finish the cut either with the hand plane, or I have the pattern cutting router bit over here, which will make a quick one pass to clean it up. The purpose of the joiner part of the operation is not to get a finished surface, it's just to flatten it enough so that it can go through the planer, and the planer will do 80% of the stock removal. And so, looks like the train is here. Okay, so my blanks have been glued together and fully dried. I've let them dry for about 3 days. And I just wanted to make a note that I'm not doing any glue scraping with the hand scraper to remove the excess glue. And that's an alteration from my previous cutting board videos where I scrape the glue after about an hour or two, where it's still soft and pliable and doesn't pull the grain up when you scrape it. But it makes a mess and it takes work, and I found that the joiner and the planer can just hog it out and be done with it. The biggest nuisance, if you run these through the planer without glue scraping and the glue is not dry enough, it'll stick to your infeed rollers, and that's not good. So letting the glue dry completely, eliminating all the handwork, solves the problem and saves time. Okay, here are the final results. Are cutting boards profitable for the wood shop, and what's really going on here? So this is an open office spreadsheet program, and this will generate a pricing formula for making 2 different size cutting boards in a production run. So that's going to give me the information I need to make the business decisions about how to price this and if it's worth making. So first thing I did was calculate the total square footage that I glued up. So making 12 blanks, I got 31 square feet, and I used a 20% waste factor to adjust the real material cost, which was around $150 in material. So that made 41 total boards of 3 different sizes. I did the time and cost analysis for the small ones and the large ones to get 2 comparative values. I broke up the operation in 2 phases. The first was making the 12 blanks, and so I could generate a hourly rate per board making blanks to get 2 different values here. And so the small board was just about half the size of the large board, so that worked out. The second phase of the operation was doing the router, edge profiling, and finish sanding and edge sanding, and then installing the rubber feet and the finishing. And that varied depending on the size of the board, so I got 2 different calculations for doing the small ones and the large ones, and then I could compare what the total cost was per board, adding up all the values. And that included the packaging time, which was branding the product and putting it in a plastic bag for storage or store display. So here is the final cutting board pricing formula. These 2 entries here are variables. This one is the hourly rate that I would like to make, and this one is the setup time percent factor. It's an adjustment factor that accounts for the setup time in between steps, the downtime waiting for the glue to dry, material handling, and that kind of thing. When I do the time and cost analysis, I'm only adding up the times for the production of the actual product and not the setup time. So I have to estimate that. It's just an easier way to do these calculations. So I picked the number 25 as the percent adjustment value. So I add that to the hourly rate. So that gives me a corresponding cost of the board, and at $0 an hour working for free, this is essentially the material cost involved. And this is a different calculation, cost per square foot. So if I wanted to extrapolate this formula to apply to a slightly different sized board, I can use a value or something in between here to price out a different sized board. So let's play around with some values. Let's put in $25 as what we would like to make per hour. And so that's going to give a set of values over here in blue. This is the labor cost associated with each size board. And then adding the materials, this gives the final cost that I would need to make for getting $25 an hour in production. However, running a business involves a lot of different expenses and responsibilities. So if I lived at home and my spouse paid for all the bills and I had all the free time to tinker around in the garage, I could be happy making $25 an hour. But running a business, I have to pay for an entire property, real estate taxes, utility bills, everything. Depreciation of machines. Like it's a very long list of expenses, but $25 is an hour is basically what the shop costs. So if I can only make $25 an hour, I would actually not be making any money at all in a real business woodshop setting. So the minimum that I would need to make is about $50 an hour. That's the bare minimum, and this is the bare minimum cost that I would need to sell the board to make a profit, to make it even possible to make in the wood shop. But it's really not enough money. I would pick $70. I just paid $99 an hour for the gas technician to come and hook up a new gas range. Skilled labor, is expensive, and this is a whole wood shop. I mean, that guy just has a van full of tools. So $70 an hour is not outrageous. Adjusting that gives you about $88 an hour. So this is the cost that I would have to sell these boards at in order to make a comfortable profit or margin and make it worthwhile. The issue is that there is work that I could do to make $99 an hour. I've done that before with these calculations. So even at $70 an hour, this product is nominal at best. It's not a really strong product to make profitability work for the wood shop. But then, if I'm going to factor in a wholesaling this, these numbers are actually really high for wholesale. If I'm going to do consignment at 60%, this is going to be over $40 for that cutting board. And that might be priced too high for the market. I'm not really sure. I wasn't expecting those numbers to come in that high, so I have to really reconsider if I'm going to be able to sell these in another retail store. At this price range, it might only work if I sell on eBay or customer direct in some way. I can adjust these prices. Like if I wanted to sell the small boards at $25 each, I could sell the larger boards at $55 each. To make up the difference. Sometimes you have to do that, in order to make this product more enticing and then make more of a profit on the larger items. So, well, that's the final result. I don't think I can wholesale these products in other stores, and I was hoping to be able to do that. So this was very valuable information, and it helped me make a decision not to put these in the stores or not really take that seriously as something that would make money and be sustainable for a business. So there is work that can be done that will make more hourly rate, and it doesn't require storing the material inside, which is another factor that's not even part of this. So anyways, that's my video. I hope you learned something here, and making spreadsheets and keeping track of time is really the way to go if you want to